So anyways, there was this turtle that lived in the forest, and very sweet turtle. He used to ferry people across the river, you know, all the rabbits and the birds and other animals, lizards. And one day this scorpion appeared and wanted to be ferried to the other side of the river. And everyone there said, don't do it. That scorpion can't be trusted. He's going to hurt you. And the scorpion said, listen, I'm defenseless. I'm here to visit my mother who is very sick, and I need this more than anything to get to the other side. So the trusting turtle, despite everyone warning him, said, okay. And the scorpion hopped on his shell, and they swam to the other side of the bank. And just as they hit the bank, the scorpion turned around and injected a lethal dose of poison into the neck of the turtle. And then he jumped on dry land. And the turtle looked up and said, why did you do that? And the scorpion said, well, because being trusting is your nature, but I'm being true to my nature. So the question is, what is human nature? Human nature, we are territorial claiming and expanding animals and social hierarchical animals. That enters into everything that we do. So I just want to ask someone, because I got to speed through this. Have you ever hurt someone's feelings? Has anyone ever hurt your feelings? What is a hurt feeling?
Pain.
Well, I'll tell you what a hurt feeling is, because we don't have time to really get into this. And that is a hurt feeling. And listen, because there's going to be healing that occurs. A hurt feeling is nothing more than unmet expectations and emotional reaction to those unmet expectations. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is basically focusing on the facts of what happened, pulling the emotions out of that experience, and looking for the lessons learned. So you're turning that situation that was painful into something that's beneficial, made you stronger, made you more discerning, whatever it is. So I have quotes in a book that I wrote on forgiveness. I have several, actually, but this is one of the very important quotes, and not going to work. Anyways, the quote says, the acid of hate destroys the container that holds it. So that is saying that all forgiveness is for ourselves. It has nothing to do with that other person. A woman that got one of my books, she was 80 years old, and she was sobbing because for 60 years she was holding on to anger, guilt, shame, and blame over something that happened when she was 20 years old. She was able to release that, realizing that that person that hurt her may not even be alive. He hurt her one time, but she was victimizing herself for 60 years. And that's what I call enlightenment, when you lessen that burden of that anger, pain, guilt, and shame that you're dealing with. And this is a recipe. I put together a recipe for forgiveness. Another part of the recipe is this quote, which is from John F. Kennedy, and it says that forgive your enemies, but never forget their names. So people say, oh, forgive and forget, but it's forgive and remember. But what are you remembering? Number one, you're remembering who that person was, so they can't hurt you again. You're remembering, again, the lesson you're learning from it and the facts of what happened. There are two ways of remembering. You can say, and then he did this and she did that, and I don't think it's fair. That's remembering as a victim with all the emotions that are damaging you and giving you the ulcer. Or you can say, this is what happened. I trusted this guy, I lent him money, he never paid me back, and now I might have to take him to court, or maybe I learned the fact that I shouldn't be lending money that I can't afford to just release. Another part of forgiveness, and there's a lot more to it, is we're always dealing with cause and, what's the word? It comes after cause and? No, everyone's wrong because it's my own quote. We're always dealing, I know, it's a setup. Can you forgive me? We're always dealing, this is important, we're always dealing with cause and defect. That's my quote. We're always dealing with defective behavior. If people hurt us, and there's got to be other ways of getting our needs met. So what are the causes of defective behavior? How can we forgive someone, the child molester, the guy who borrowed money that bankrupted us, or whatever it is? This is how you do it. We were all innocent children at one time. What happened to that person? They themselves were abused. They learned the wrong values. they have drug issues, whatever it is, they were innocent children, and I can have compassion for that innocent child they once were and what happened in their lives, but I'm still going to hold the adult accountable for what happened and to me and how they victimized me. And again, I'm releasing them, not for them, I'm not exonerating them, I'm releasing them for me so I don't have to deal with those emotions. I am remembering what they did, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but I'm remembering for self-protection, and they may be held accountable. Maybe they have to go to jail, whatever it is. And again, I'm understanding we are always doing the best we can in forgiving ourselves. Hindsight's 20/20. If we had known then what the result's going to be, we would have done things differently, but we cannot know what we don't know. So in retrospect, okay, I now know what I did, and I'm going to act differently, and if I can make amends, I'll make amends. If I can't to that person, I'll find ways of doing service or whatever it is to basically help lessen my own pain. Now, you forgive someone, but you're always going to have that twinge of emotion. When that emotion comes, instead of blaming yourself again, you say, you know what? Those are scars to my psyche to remind me how far I have come and how strong I really am. Now, in terms of this human brain, we have language. And unfortunately, we get into what I call reactionary mind. If someone hurts you, it's going to cause pain. And pain generates the hormones of fight or flight, fear or anger. And the fact is that we're trying to run away from that situation if we can. If we can't, we get into that anger, and then we start retaliating, going back and forth. And in communication, an argument is not communicating. Basically, it's what I call something I call alpha positioning that I created, and that's basically saying that I'm trying to dominate you to believe the way I do, rather than you telling me how. So it's like a pissing contest. Who's the strongest one? Who's going to acquiesce? When you get into that active listening component, which we've touched upon, you essentially start out with a compliment, you lower the emotional component, and then you get into saying, you repeat what that compliment was. Oh, you've got a great singing voice. Yes, thank you. Then they say, okay, this is the situation. I didn't like the way you ate that dinner and you didn't tell me it was great. You didn't give me any credit for what I did. And then I would repeat, you're saying that I basically was kind of selfish and I didn't appreciate what you had done. If I'm correct, that person will say yes. Then that second person will say, and the fact of the matter is this, that, and the other. And then I say, the fact of the matter is you believed that I was being rude. And my fact is I was so totally exhausted from a day at work that I was just oblivious to everything. And then that person says, you said that you were exhausted and you were oblivious to everything because you weren't paying attention. And it goes back and forth, and then it ends with another compliment. Now, that's what communication is about. Again, arguing, two people arguing, no one is communicating. Everyone is talking at the same time, trying to figure out what they're going to say to that person. So they're not listening to that person because they're already ready for the comeback in a dialogue sort of way, which is an argumentative sort of way. So the idea, I always write that basically this kind of communication is mindfulness. And we've done that kind of an exercise where we have to be present and accountable for what that person is saying, because we have to hear what that person is saying. If we don't hear it, what I say is hearing is listening to the noise. If we don't make music out of it, then we're basically hearing the noise. The music is making sense and communicating with that other person. So I don't know how much time I have left, but oh, cut. Well, thanks a lot, Neil, and I like your metaphors, but I don't have a scissors, so I can just go on forever. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, one or two things may have been learned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Edward.